Noah Samson is churning the content. He's already made a 26-minute response to Dustin and Sneako responding to him. Because he didn't want to talk to Sneako. We covered that last time. But he's going to respond to the response. Okay. It's more of actually... Wait. Noah was reacting to some incel video or some shit. Sneako responded to Noah, even though Sneako wasn't featured in the first video. Noah responded to Sneako. Sneako and Dustin responded to Noah, and now Noah's responding to... So we're at stage 5. Okay. 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 We did it. Let's go. Oh God. Is he gonna poke the DGG belly, the bear? Oh no. Let's see. To be honest, I imagine Sneako's audience would be a lot meaner than Destiny's, but let's see.
This video is a response to the YouTuber Sneako and the political live streamer Destiny, who watched my previous video together on a live stream and uploaded this live stream to Sneako's YouTube channel. The video is called Sneako and Destiny Roasting Predictable Libtard. Reading that
exclamation mark. Libtard. Fucking amazing.
Roasting Predictable Libtard. Reading that title feels like letting off a flashbang that expired in 2015, 3 inches from my face. I will leave this video as well as all the other material leading up to this point in the description, but it's a lot, so I'll try my best to make sure that this video is accessible as possible. So what do Sneako and Destiny say in this video? Well, to be honest with you all, I don't think they say very much. Sneako, not unlike in the last
He's not wrong. He's not wrong. Destiny literally didn't say much. He's gonna sat there, awkward, I think. I think maybe because Destiny hates Noah so much that he doesn't really want to agree with him on anything, and Sneako is just completely fucking insane, so alright.
Reaction video he made about me didn't really respond to any of the points that I raised. Instead, he again resorted to various forms of name calling.
Nobody gives a fuck about you. It's just another soy boy reacting to me like the fucking 5,000th one, giving me free content reacting to your fucking predictable bot ass.
Chest beating.
He's watching it right now. Noah Samson, stop being a fucking pussy. Just talk on Discord. Oh my God.
And complaining that the video he had decided to respond to on his stream was a video that he was actually going to have to watch.
Bro, let's get him on the fucking stream. I don't want to hear his fucking whiny Wii Sports music then. Can I DM him real quick?
Softest, cushiest, fattest, wettest, juiciest, grippiest echo chamber on the platform. Babito. Her name's Ba. He seemed to be especially put off by the way that I took 2 minutes at the start of my video to give viewers adequate background context on the interaction. This channel has gained 400.
Get to the fucking point, bro.
Sneako haters are
Get to the point. What's the? We understand what the. Everyone knows what.
creepy.
Oh my God. See what I'm saying? It's a 51-minute video. They can't make it 2 minutes in. You guys don't know how to make points. That's why you need to make reaction videos and you can't get in a fucking call.
Nothing says
I think I think the pandemic just rotted people's brains. Like, I know something about the pandemic, and I've heard a lot of people say this, is that it's become really hard or harder to focus on things that used to be quite easy, like reading a book and shit. Like, I can still do it, but it's like a bit harder, you know, because I'm a lot more fucking on edge or some shit, you know? Like, I don't know if I had the same effect. I guess maybe because you're indoors all the time and maybe you just like your screen time goes up and your patience goes a bit down. Ah, God. Yeah. Fuck.
I'm not triggered like not being able to make it through the intro without screaming. So this is all just very ridiculous and frankly childish stuff. You know it is, I know it is, so unlike last time, I'm not gonna spend any time unpacking it, not even for comedic effect, because it's not worth any of our time. No, in today's video, we were just going to go over a handful of things that were said that I thought were interesting and worth responding to, or at least worth talking about. It's not much, but I do think there are some things we can potentially learn here about how online discourse functions, about perception, and about how normalizing red pill ideology to hundreds of thousands of people online is probably not a good thing for any of us. So let's do that then. Right after a quick word from today's video sponsor, Harry's. Thanks. I love my...
Oh no.
Their shaving cream is or vegetables, but you will set for foods the 5 below and a track. Click the link in the video. Do it and keep shit today is the constant calls by Sneako and Destiny and both of their fan bases for me to come onto their stream to talk, to hash out our differences.
Yeah, I prefer Jeffrey's too. Jeffrey is like, compared to calling someone a bot or a soy boy, Jeffrey is just like worlds apart. Jeffrey is so much better. Like, Noah should fight him instead. Jeffrey is fucking brilliant.
Of opinion, and just to have a conversation. My Twitter mentions and YouTube comments have been filled up with people calling on me to defend my ideas live in person on stream around the
Have you ever tried testosterone? Too much soy here. Also, why are you scared of joining the call with Sneako to debate him? Oh well,
the time that this was all happening, Destiny tweeted at me a couple of times, and Sneako DM'd me a couple of times, all with the
he did. Oh no. Leaking DMs, that's a little bit faux pas. You want to chat about Sneako says
same message. Come on stream, let's talk things out. And so the first misconception that I want to clear up here for everyone is that doing this, going onto this stream, would have been any sort of conversation, that we would have been talking things out. In both of his videos reacting to my content, Sneako spends the entire time screaming at me and insulting me.
Shut the fuck up. You're using all the bitch insults, man. That should be a wake-up call enough for you.
And that would be fine. I really wouldn't care if he didn't also completely disregard everything that I had to say by virtue of his perception of me as a soy boy lib, whatever that group of labels means to him. For the record, Sneako, I'm not a lib, I'm a leftist. Google Karl Marx, do some reading, okay? It's not 2013. People don't say libtard.
Google Karl Marx, dude. I love it when leftists tell people to read books. You know, I love that. I love that accessibility, engagement with people who don't. Bro, just do some reading. Just fucking. Like, bro, you're a liberal. No, I'm not, bro. You just do some reading. Just fucking. Why would I just read a. Like, okay.
Anymore. They say woke leftist, cultural Marxist, ideological.
That is true, though. Like, I think it's an American thing. It's just like liberal and leftist are so interchangeable. I think the problem as well is just like you should just go with that. Like, because like liberalism and leftism are not mutually exclusive either. So I tend to consider leftism just to be like mega liberalism or whatever, super liberalism. Yeah. But, okay.
Orthodoxy and other stuff like that. But this guy can't make it 10 seconds through my video without having to pause it to call me names, as a middle schooler might.
I'm gonna call you a soy boy to your face. I'm gonna say that you talk slow. I'm gonna say that antidepressants fuck up your head, and you all sound predictable.
And in what universe is that someone that I want to have a conversation with? From everything that I've seen of his live conversations, I have no reason to believe that he's even capable of having a productive discussion, or actually ingesting new ideas that he doesn't already agree with. And I don't mean saying that he's doing that, because he says he's doing that all the time, but he never actually does it. Similarly, Destiny in this conversation, while certainly more attentive to the points that I was trying to make, that's a low bar to clear, but still, he sort of reveals a bit about his motivations when he makes a comment early on about how he likes bringing guys like me onto his streams because we're easy to beat up on.
Yeah, because I tweeted at him, because I love guys like that, because they're really easy to beat up on, but yeah, obviously he said, oh, I wasn't talking about you. I was like, okay.
Pussy.
And he's probably right about this. He's been debate streaming for almost 10 years, and he's good at it, and I'm not. I haven't had great experiences in the debate realm, if I'm being honest. But more importantly, my art, the things that I create, they need to be thought through and articulated on paper, because that's just how my brain works best. So that's why I made my video. I prepared my arguments and laid them out all nice, responding to Sneako's comments in chronological order. But then, before even watching it, before even hearing what they could have possibly disagreed with me about, they started blaring the trumpet.
I don't know if Noah meant this, but it sounds so passive-aggressive when you talk about your video essays as if they require thought, you know? As if, like, when you're doing a debate, like, you have to prep a lot. I feel like you have to prep more for a debate than you do for a video essay. Because, like, anything could come up on a topic, you know? like anything. You need a fucking like you need like massive like stacks of like Google Doc links and shit like that, and like you have to research all the dumb shit like counter arguments from the other side and all that. But yeah, I don't know if he meant that, but yeah.
It's for me to come online and enter the debate realm. And it's like, why? What are we going to talk about? My video is right there. You want me to join a Discord call and read a 20-page script over Sneako's clipping USB microphone screeches?
You
Yeah.
are boring.
There were just
Bro,
way
if Noah did that, that would have been so funny. Just like, hey, Sneako, since you couldn't be fucked to watch the rest of the video, I'll just hope you don't mind if I just read it out now to you. You just paused at the bit where I do a little Noah Samson joke about my cat. We'll take it from there, okay? Hey, you think there's a problem with my cat? I'll show you my cat. Look at my cat. I got my cat. Here's my cat. Ooh, and in brackets, it's like zoom in, cold cut in and out. Like, yeah, that would have been so funny. Fuck. Anyway. And here's my girlfriend. Okay.
way too many problems with the things that Sneako was saying in his response video for me to adequately cover it without a video of my own. So let's not lie to ourselves and say that having an honest conversation is what either of these guys were looking for. They were both looking for content out of the interaction in their own ways. And because it's their right to do as online entertainers, it's also my right to say, no thanks, I'll pass. If that makes me a pussy, then so be it. I've been called worse things by smarter people. The second thing I want to talk about from this response video was the point regarding femicide and male-on-female violence. This point was brought up when Sneako showed that a girl in the original video had a podcast called Kill All Men and said that this was a double standard because he would never be able to have a podcast called Kill All Women.
But imagine if I had a podcast
I remember this argument. Yeah.
Called the Welcome Back to Caw, the Kill All Women podcast. Suck my
Now, after
The thing is, like, that is actually true with what Noah's saying. Like, you have no obligation to speak to anyone. Like, and especially if you're going to make content about someone who's just completely fucking insane. Like, yeah, of course you can do that. And then you can say, like, yeah, why would I, like, you know, my arguments are there, like, rebut them or go and do something else. The problem is, I've seen Noah do this a couple of times where he will kind of like kind of obtusely like misinterpret a clip and take it to this like extent where you could make a video response to it or you could just talk to him for like 8 seconds and it would be solved. Like what he did with the Xanderhall clips. And I'm not really a big fan of like a lot of Xanderhall's ideas or like his communication or whatever, but like fucking the way he basically just used that like 3-second clip to try and make Xanderhall look fucking racist because he said these people in reference to a bunch of black creators. I'm like, that's kind of unfair if like a video essayist with like hundreds of thousands of views is saying that about you. And it's like, you won't even like explain yourself to me like with this like pretty bold accusation, you know? And otherwise, I have to like waste my time going through these clips and explaining why they're not what you say they are. Yeah, fuck. That's why there are like certain people who have made videos about me, more than one actually, who like, there's just no, like, if they were really big channels and I had to respond to them, that would be like days of work just because someone has decided to like lie about me basically. And I'd much rather just like be like, okay, come on and just explain this to me. And then they wouldn't be able to. So, yeah, it's difficult.
After agreeing that this name was inflammatory and unhelpful, I went on to outline why these two things are still different. And to do this, I cited some statistics about global homicide rates. This is data from a 2019 United Nations global study on homicide. And while the gender breakdown of homicide victims in total was strongly slanted towards men, at 81% men and 19% women, as shown on the left, when it comes to gendered intimate partner homicide, this is and has always been overwhelmingly committed against women, 82% to 18%. To quote the study, these findings show that even though men are the principal victims of
Sneako's so angry. What? Men kill women more than women kill men. I've never killed any. I've never killed any woman. Oh no. Lib starts with L. True.
Homicide globally, women continue to bear the heaviest burden of lethal victimization as a result of gender stereotypes and inequality. So no, if you made a podcast called Kill All Women, this would not be the same thing, because femicide is already happening, and it's happening at the hands of men.
Now I'm just giving him more content, dude. That's the funny part. He's gonna clip.
Damn.
Crazy white knighting, man.
How do you respond to that one?
He ignored the 81% men being homicide victims and like completely focused on the other ones to just feed.
I mean, the 81% men homicide had nothing to do with what Noah was saying. Like, he was saying that making a kill all women podcast is not as bad as, making a kill all men podcast is not as bad as a kill all men podcast. Fuck! Oh, Jesus Christ. Making a kill all men podcast is not as bad as making a kill all women podcast, because kill all women is something that actually happens. Men kill women a lot. We're talking about cross-gender violence. Okay. I'm a communicator. I stream. I talk for a living.
His 50% female audience.
So no, Sneako, I didn't ignore the statistic on the left about men making up 81% of homicide victims globally. That statistic is irrelevant to the topic at hand because, well...
Yeah, because the Kill All Men podcast is hardly inspiring fucking men to kill all men. What? Like, there's going to be a surge of feminist men killing, like, red pillars and shit. Yeah, okay. Well,
who do you think is killing all of those men? It's not women. 96% of all homicides worldwide are perpetrated by men. We are talking about cross-gender violence here. And as I said before, on the whole, this really only goes in one direction. Violence like this is and has always been a distinctly male problem, which is why a woman having a podcast called Kill All Men just doesn't hold the same weight as the inverse. Only one of these things is representative of material reality of existing social structures of violence, aka femicide. So because Sneako seems to be having some trouble understanding my argument, he turns to Destiny for some help.
What do you think about that one? None of this is like, it's just...
I mean, the larger answer is that there probably is a difference, right?
Yeah.
If I listen to a podcast called Kill All Men and Kill All Women, there's probably going to be a bit of a difference there in terms of what I assume that people are like when they say it.
Okay, but can we agree that killing people's bad? Like, why do you have to bring
of course,
up
but
statistics
that's
to try
a simple.
to
That's like
defend
the
murder?
level one. Of course, obviously, killing people is bad.
Yes, killing people is bad, Sneako. Thank you for your contribution to the conversation. But we're not talking about the morality of murder here. We're talking about differences in gendered killing. And when it comes to gendered killing, boy, are there some differences. Or should I say, men, there are some differences. Because it's men doing men are killing everybody. Destiny goes on to outline a counter argument to what I'm saying here, to presumably help Sneako out.
The argument against what he's saying is that, like, if you keep normalizing this rhetoric, you get in a weird world where people are saying, like, kill all straight men, kill all white men, kill all men. But as soon as you make fun of a person that happens to be gay, all of a sudden you're like the worst person in the world. So I disagree with this overarching argument, but I mean, I understand what it is.
And to be
this is like the thing. It's like the the way I see it, and I think it's kind of what Destiny is saying, maybe, is that like, it's like the problem isn't going to be that, because kill all men, the problem with kill all men is like, it's not going to result in like loads of women killing men. Like, it's not really going to happen. The problem is that when you bring that rhetoric in and you normalize it, is like, you're kind of getting to a stage where systemic violence against women kind of gives you the excuse to just act with impunity towards men. Or the same thing with white people, or the same thing with cops, right? Because of the systemic impact. And that leads you down to some really fucking weird paths, you know? Like, I'm pretty sure if you ended up with like a news story of a cop that was like killed by a black man and there wasn't that much details out about it, people would be celebrating the death of the cop, right? And you wait until 3 days later and then like only the right-wing outlets will cover that actually the fucking black guy was chasing him with a knife or whatever. Like, that's a story you could easily imagine happening. So yeah, that's why the problem. But as far as I remember, Noah said that it was bad. So I wonder why did they disagree on something? Or
To be honest, I don't think this is a very good counter-argument. I think what Destiny does here is something called the slippery slope fallacy. The slippery slope fallacy is an argument. Yes, I'm going to define it. Sorry, debate fans. I'm new to all this.
Oh no. Okay.
stuff. Just Googled what rhetoric is. That shit seems cool. The slippery slope fallacy is an argument in which a party asserts that a relatively small first step leads to a chain of related events, culminating in some significant effect. The small first step here is me acknowledging the material differences between violence perpetrated by men and violence perpetrated by women, and the culminating event in Destiny.
No, wait. The first step is a podcast that's called Kill All Men, not the stats. Anyway.
Mind is the normalization of rhetoric that promotes violence against men. But these two events do not necessarily follow, right? Saying that one of these things is worse than the others doesn't necessitate a promotion of the less bad thing. It especially doesn't when, at the outset of my argument, I specifically acknowledge that the phrase kill all men is bad, unhelpful, inflammatory, and should not be used. It's a bad name for a podcast.
Wait. Where's the slippery slope? Was Destiny saying that it's going to result in, like, I don't know, manicide? Like a bunch of fucking women slaying men in the streets because of the acknowledgement of the systemic. I don't think that's what he was. Wait, okay, fuck. We need to go back. There's an argument here. Oh no. We need to understand what's going on.
But as soon as you make fun of a person that has a world where people are saying like kill all straight men, kill all white men, kill all men, but as soon as you make fun of a person that happens to be gay, all of a sudden you're like the worst person in the world. So
okay, so you end up in okay. So you end up in a world where it's okay to attack people who have, like, I guess, the systemic power. Yeah, okay. So I don't think that's okay. What was Noah saying was a slippery slope? Okay.
I disagree with this overarching argument, but I mean, I understand what it is.
And to be honest, I don't think this is a very good counter-argument. I think what Destiny does here is something called the slippery slope fallacy. The slippery slope fallacy is an argument. Yes, I'm going to define it. Sorry.
I wonder why Destiny made that argument, because Noah already said it was bad. Noah already said that the kill all men thing is bad. He didn't say why it was bad. Is that why Destiny said that? Okay.
Debate fans, I'm new to all this stuff. Just Googled what rhetoric is. That shit seems cool. The slippery slope fallacy is an argument in which a party asserts that a relatively small first step leads to a chain of related events, culminating in some significant effect. The small first step here is me acknowledging the material differences between violence perpetrated by men and violence perpetrated by women, and the culminating event, in Destiny's mind, is the normalization of rhetoric that promotes violence against men. But these two events do not necessarily follow, right? Saying that.
Yeah, but okay, no, we're not talking, like, acknowledging the stats is not gonna. I can't get in Destiny's brain here, right? But he's not gonna say that bringing up the difference is gonna lead to violence against men. Like, the kill all men thing is the problem, and you both seem to agree with that. And that is normalizing rhetoric. And you could actually say that, is that even a slippery slope? Like, how many times have you seen this? Like, it's not in. I feel like on Twitter, I see these like viral videos. Hey, have I ever seen this in my personal life? Maybe like once or twice, where a woman will just like start fucking like slapping or punching a guy like 70 times. And then the guy eventually just snaps and hits the woman. And then she like just takes a fucking fall. And it's like, oh, violence against women. It's like, okay, wait. Yeah, like I've definitely seen women like just going fucking batshit on men, like whacking the shit out of them because apparently it's okay, like one way, or it's more okay one way than the other. But even just like the rhetoric is enough. Like, that's not a slippery slope. It's not a slippery slope fallacy. The problem is, yeah, like, you know, if someone says, I'm gonna fucking get on this like sledge on this like icy slope, and you're like, no, you probably shouldn't do that because you might like slide down off the slope and die. And you're like, that's a slippery slope fallacy. No, it's not. That's just a slippery slope. Like, not all. That's why it's called a slippery. Like, it's like a slippery slope fallacy. Like, it's a fallacious slippery. It's like appeal to authority. You know, appeal to authority isn't actually the fallacy, or like it's a fallacious appeal to authority. If you say we can't use this material in this building construction site because that's like that's against regulations, safety regulations, that's an appeal to authority, but it's not fallacious. Like, you'd assume that that is there for a reason. Anyway.
That one of these things is worse than the others doesn't necessitate a promotion of the less bad thing. It especially doesn't.
But the problem with so the problem here though is that Destiny did fucking. The problem here is that Destiny went and fucking disagreed with Noah, even though Noah already said that it was bad. Like, oh no. This is why people should talk to each other. I think if they're both capable of having a conversation, like.
When at the outset of my argument, I specifically acknowledged that the phrase kill all men is bad, unhelpful, inflammatory, and should not be used.
Yeah.
It's a bad name for a podcast, and I never said anything to the contrary. And Destiny knows this, right? He understands that there is a difference between these two things. He says as much in the conversation.
The larger answer is that there probably is a difference.
Yeah.
So why is he doing this here? Why does he take this poor line of reasoning to side with Sneako? Like, I get that
It's not a poor line of reasoning. He's just okay. Fuck. Let's do a little paint thing. I think this is the problem with fucking internet discourse and like miscommunication. Because I don't think Destiny's completely in the right here as well, like the way he said that. Like, I guess, but no, wait, let's see. This is the problem, all right? So I think it started with... All right, let's draw a little chain here. It started with Kill... We'll call it KAM Podcast, because I can't say Kill All Men on stream, apparently. That might be bad. All right, we got Kill All Men Podcast. And then... Fuck me. What happened next? All right, Noah says, this is bad. I think it's because it's inflammatory, he said. But femicide is a thing. Menicide is not. Okay. This is all fine. He's laid himself out. He's got his 1 and his 2. All right. Now, Destiny, Sneako, we'll put Sneako in here as well. Sneako says, okay, Sneako says some shit. All right. Dustin says, okay, wait. This is actually going to make sense. Don't worry, guys. I got you. You're in the palm of my hand. All right. Destiny says, addresses 2. So he says, there is a difference. Good. And he says why it's bad. Because KAM normalizes violent rhetoric. But the problem is I think Destiny just heard this and responded with this, and maybe he didn't hear this, or he was just explaining this. I don't really know. I don't know what happened there. Okay. So let's just get some chaining. Ooh. Okay. And then Noah says, so Destiny, I think, is saying kill all men normalizes violent rhetoric. And Noah says, no, this is a slippery slope. Acknowledging stats does not lead to violence against men, which Destiny never said. So the interesting thing here is that the problems are, let's pinpoint some of these problems, all right? Here, there is a potential there's a potential miscommunication. Because, or he's just clarifying what Noah said, because Noah didn't really say why it was bad, apart from like inflammatory actually is not a good reason for it being bad. Things can be like inflammatory is not in of itself a bad thing. So maybe he's clarifying. Okay. And this here is Noah pointing to a slippery slope fallacy that was never made up here. Because I think here it was kill all men normalizes violent rhetoric. Or using systemic inequalities as a reason that KAM is like not that bad, you know. Like, and here, acknowledging stats does not. But then this is like he's straw manning a slippery slope. Like, so this is what I think's happened. Okay, the problem is, let's do blue for like a more tranquil. It seems to be the case that Noah and Dustin both agree on the 2 points. You see that? Like they agree on the 2 points. But I think what's happened here is that Destiny has maybe wanted to help Sneako out or misheard or whatever. And down here, Noah maybe I don't know. I imagine if you're like if you don't like Destiny, this would be quite satisfying because Destiny's like the debate lord guy. And if you can see like Noah, this little this young scamp coming in and using the debate bro weapons against the master, and he probably, I think Noah maybe just got a bit tunnel vision, thinking he could like pull a fallacy on like a debate bro, and didn't really acknowledge that what he was saying is kind of a straw man and doesn't really work. But fuck me, like that took a while, right? And this is what like. This is why responding to a response to a response to a response is the just talk to people. Like maybe you don't have to talk to everyone because people like Sneako definitely wasn't like up for a conversation, right? He was reeing. He was losing his fucking marbles. And if he was going to talk to him, it would have just been an optical battle or whatever. But this is why it's so frustrating, though, when people take like clips of you and respond, especially if like you have to be really careful to think about like what you're responding to. So what I'll usually do, like when I do videos and I respond to a clip, is I will transcribe the clip. I'll write down everything they said. I'll make sure I've rewound like a minute before, a minute after. Generally watch the whole thing as well, because you never know. And then be like, okay, like this clip is definitely representing what they think, right? But that's like, I guess some people just don't want to do that, or anyway. That was interesting. That was an interesting little I think this really summed up a lot of the problems with like online Discord, like with clipping. Yeah. Okay.
This isn't even technically his response video. He's just there kind of hanging out. But still, that
Chilling.
seemed a little bit odd. I don't know. Anyways.
It's not a good argument.
Well,
Okay.
Next, I want to play a longer clip from their video. Sneako is watching the TikTok that I showed of the 6th grade teacher talking about how Andrew Tate's sexist rhetoric is being used in her classroom. And I just want you to watch how Sneako reacts here.
I'm a teacher and I teach 6th grade. We've been in school for 3 days now, and within these 3 days, the amount of young 11-year-old boys that have told me that they love Andrew Tate is ridiculous. This man is really affecting the minds of young men. I had a boy today, 11, turn to a girl and tell her that she's fat, women need to be thin, she sits at home and she eats all day, and that she's like every other girl in the world, and that she uses men to get money.
Sneako. I mean, kids have been doing this for like the last 100 years, but okay. Anyway.
And at least he's a hardworking man and he works for his money.
Now, kids have not been saying that, though. Kids are, I'm a hardworking man and I work for my... No, kids have not been... I remember we watched this. This is really fucking weird. Kids are mental. Like, I do not put this past an 11-year-old. Like, kids are so dumb, right? It's like, people have been talking about this reaction being like, nah, there's no way a kid's like seriously quoting Andrew Tate and like deluding himself to that point. I'm like, bro, you know how many, like when wrestling was a thing, how many kids just like thought they were Stone Cold Steve Austin and like would get into fights because they were Stone Cold Steve Austin? Like, yeah, kids will do that. If fucking, I've said it before, right? If Pokemon cards can have the effect that they did on school kids, of course Andrew Tate's going to have an effect, okay? Pokemon cards brought in a fucking, like what was that like in a school? It was like a fucking black market. It was like an underground, it was like, you know, in those films where, in those like superhero films where there's this underground thing where they're like, they're fighting for like money illegally, or they're like betting on fucking like chicken fights or whatever the fuck. Like, what are they called? Cockfights? Yeah. Like, that's what it was like. It was like a fucking underground crime ring. Like,
They're 11. Okay. You need to be aware of what your kids are watching because this is ridiculous and it's really affecting kids.
I'm gonna start being in this category. There's gonna be teachers pretty soon saying this shit about me.
Young kids.
no.
So Sneako, upon hearing this story, takes the opportunity to first brag that the thing that's happening in this video will soon be happening with kids echoing his words, and talk about how when this happens, it will be epic and base. The raging misogynist idolizes the more famous raging misogynist. Who could have seen this coming? Also, notice his reactions here. While the teacher is outlining the words the boy used, Sneako raises his arms up in a shrug, as if to say, I don't know, like, maybe the kid has a point, or something like that. I would love to hear him explain what he meant by this, but I doubt he will. And another thing, note the reactions from Sneako's chat. Hundreds of people are spamming comments like W Tate, commentate W kid, all ostensibly in support of what the teacher said that this kid had done. But remember, we are the NPCs. We're the bots who repeat everything. That's us, always. The most frustrating thing here, though, is what they both say next.
That is pretty weird of an 11-year-old saying that, though. That's not some top G shit, okay?
Yeah, that's kind of funny, though. Do you think the guy was really taking it seriously, or did he watch some stuff and he echoed it?
That's always the problem with getting these types of... Because, like, everybody bullies in school, but, like, is it different now? I don't know. I'm not sure. I'm not on the... Not in a 6th grade classroom to tell.
I don't know, that kid seems pretty base to me.
So Destiny, after briefly pushing back on the idea that children hating women is epic and base, he goes on with Sneako to sort of downplay the probability that this sexist interaction could be anything other than run-of-the-mill bullying. And while it's true that bullying is something that's always happened in schools, and that it can be difficult to attribute the...
What I would want to know, and I don't have a good answer to this, I don't know if there is one, is did bullying get worse or better in the last 10, 15 years? Because bullying was pretty fucking bad when I was young, right? Like, is it still the case in school? Like, because I was in like an urban center school, right? And not a very bad off one, not a very like bad school either. And when I was 14, a kid came out as gay and lost all his friends. He was alone for the rest of his time in school. He was a really popular guy as well. And that happened more than once. If you came out as a fucking lesbian, that was worse. You were, fuck me. Like, where people would like run out of the bathroom if you went in because they thought you were going to like rape them and shit. Like girls' bathrooms at the age of 14, 15. Like, same with the guys. Cyberbullying is new, yeah, but like this video interaction here was about a kid calling a girl fat and then saying that he's a hardworking dad who the breadwinner. I don't know. Like, I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. I don't think that's necessarily a bad question to ask. Is obviously Andrew Tate, like, kids shouldn't be listening to Andrew Tate. That's fucking crazy. But it's whether or not, I feel like the things that kids learned from Andrew Tate, I feel like you learned that from the mainstream when you were my age, when I was a kid. I feel like in the mainstream, you know what actually I think was worse than Andrew Tate was like mainstream sitcoms. Like, did you ever watch a series called Saved by the Bell? That was like mainstream TV. That was like, hey, parents, this is on Nickelodeon. It's kid friendly. There's no swearing. You know, like that was a kid friendly series, and it was fucking horrible. It was so bad. It was like there was like the amount of fucking sexism and like the one-upmanship, like the bullying, like basically like the nerds were the bad guys. Like that was how far it went. Like it went to the point that like not only are we bullying nerds because they're weak or vulnerable or because they're smarter than us and we're insecure. No, it was that the nerds were like ontologically evil. And every act against them was justified because they were the bad guys. And and the people who bullied them were I don't know, like I think that's a fair question to ask is if it's worse now than it used to be. But I don't know what kids watch these days. I guess like Big Bang Theory wasn't great, but I don't think Big Bang Theory was as bad as like Saved by the Bell. I don't know. Married with Children. Yeah, I used to love Married with Children as a kid, even though like his whole thing is that he hates his wife. Yeah. And flushes the toilet and puts his hand in his pants. Oh, okay.
Causes of this bullying to larger online trends, this immediate dismissal is still troubling to me because it comes right after this teacher's explicit detailing of Andrew Tate's newfound influence on her classroom and the out-of-the-ordinary nature of this boy's misogynistic comments that we know Andrew Tate...
Okay, wait, sorry, just unlocking myself. One thing I do know is that in the school I went to, kids come out as trans and they're all right. Like, generally speaking, they're all right. You came out if you came out as trans when I was in school, oh my God, like you would die. Like I've told you this a million times. Like when I was in school, there was no politically correct word in like common parlance for trans people. They were you just called them the T slur. That was it. That was the go-to, that was the default word for what they were. Or the SH slur. Like, yeah. Fuck.
has made, he says stuff like that all the time. And it's not like this is the first time we're hearing of something like this happening. Maybe it was for them, but there are plenty more examples of stuff like this happening all over social media.
I love this. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So again, if Destiny is supposed to be guiding Sneako away from the red pill shit, or taking him under his wing or whatever, then this seems like an odd response. Now, I want to make one thing clear. I watched Destiny's appearance on Fresh and Fit with Sneako, and I thought he did well there, all things considered. It's why I feel like I'm being fairly lenient in my criticisms here, because I recognize the fact that the more pushback these red pill ideas face, regardless of where it's coming from, the better off we will all be. But in this video response here, he seems to be doing just the bare minimum. And whether that's because he's busy gaming, or just on good terms with this Sneako guy, or maybe because he just doesn't like me.
I hate this guy, so there's not much for me to say.
I'm not sure, but it doesn't really matter. The point is that doing the
I mean, it's also just because, like, I don't know, because when I was a bit younger, I was like early 20s, I think more of my friends were right-wing than not. And I would argue with them a lot. I was so fucking aggressive, but I couldn't do it all the time, right? Every time they said some problematic shit, like I couldn't just like pounce and instigate a 1 hour debate because the thing about fucking conservative minded people is they will just go. They love it. They love arguing. They don't care if they're winning or losing. They just love fight. They love arguing. They love it. Conservative men, they love a good fucking rumble tumble. And it's exhausting. And I think the only way, I think about half of them, there was about, I'm trying to think of which friends. About 6 or 7 of them. I feel like more than half of them are pretty left leaning now. Like, I don't think I could have been there as a presence to push back on them if I was pushing back hard all the time. Like sometimes you had to just kind of let things slide, or playing along was not a good idea. You shouldn't really do that. Isn't this where the responsible platform stuff comes in? I think lots of people argue you can't sideline yourself if you're a platform. I don't know, because I feel like the only big story we have about this is like everyone likes to talk about Daryl Davis, right? Befriending, not just going to Klan meetings, befriending Klansmen to de-radicalize them. Do you think every minute he spent with those Klansmen was like pushed back, arguing, debate? Like, I don't know. And I think if Destiny sees himself as like in part of this de-radicalization process, or maybe not even caring so much about Sneako, but caring about the audience, maybe there is some method in like knowing when to just let a couple of things slide, or just like chill a little bit. Because I feel like if you watch the Destiny debates with Sneako, they're pretty aggressive. The pushback's pretty hard. And I feel like you need to build some rapport if you want people to listen to you like longer term. I don't know. I don't think I have a good answer to that. I don't really trust people who say they do, because there's no research on this. There isn't research on how dialogue with the other side helps move them over, and and whether or not the good ideas really win, or whether or not the toxic ideas tend to win, or like things like that. I don't know. Is there any good research on that, on like the de-radicalizing effect of befriending right wingers or red pillars or racists or whatever the fuck? Like, I don't know. I have no idea. And in this space as well, because I feel like every space you're in is going to matter as well, or whether you're doing it privately or publicly, and whether or not there's some kind of public interest justification for it as well. Like, because everyone right now is saying that it's great when Destiny fights with Fuentes on stream, but when he does it over chicken and waffles, like that's a problem. But I'm just like, I instinctively feel that. Like, I do think the chicken and hanging out with a whites is kind of weird. But if I'm thinking about it like very cold, like rationally, it's like, why? What's the difference? Like, is it because it's normalizing him? Like, is it? I don't know. No, what are you normalizing? The ideas, or are you normalizing having conversations with them? Like, if there's one, like I do know about research when it comes to exposure therapy, like that's a thing where like the more POCs, or the more like opposing ideas you have of people that you consider to be like scary or evil or like threatening, then the lower that threat becomes. And I think for the audience, that's really important. I don't think I don't think Destiny's trying to like de-radicalize Fuentes, or even if he's really trying to de-radicalize Sneako, but behind each of those guys, there are thousands of confused young men who are probably, a lot of them are not actually that cemented into their ways anyway. Someone's knocking on my door. Fuck. All right, hang on. Sorry, that was Andrew Tate. He was square going because he heard me shit talking him. His little baldy head. All right. Some studies about political persuasion. My takeaway is that most forms of persuasion are effective. Wow. Please give me more neat, strong studies, contrary studies. Oh. People who would have voted Republican but didn't. Wow. Deep canvassing. 10-minute convo encouraging a person to consider a trans person's perspective. I think this is definitely true. I think I noticed this from being on hippy dippy podcasts is that conservatives who had really, really shit ideas about trans people having to do panels with trans people. I feel like for a lot of them, it became so much harder for them to like dehumanize and see them in the way that they probably did like 10, 15 years ago, just because of that. Yeah, I don't know. I do generally think it's like, that's why in the UK, all the parts of the country that voted fucking UKIP or BNP were places that didn't have any immigrants. Because it's easy, like the bet, if you want to fearmonger about immigrants, you don't go to the places with high immigration and be like, wow, look at what they've done to your town. Look at all the writing. The writing's all right to left and it's squiggly. And they've got those fruit stalls where the fruit's outdoors like they do in the warmer parts of the world. And they're brown. Like that doesn't really work because the people who live there are like, yeah, it's fine, you know? Whereas if you go to a little old village where everyone's fucking white, it's so much easier to propagandize about immigration because they haven't seen it. And if all you publish in the press about immigration is like, oh, there was this Muslim grooming gang, there was this terrorist attack, there was this there were these gangs, and then it's like, whoa. You know, and yeah, it's very easy to make those people like xenophobic, you know? Okay. Telling people facts generally changes their mind. The effective factual correction. Wow. Humor changes beliefs. Hey. Ridicule and humor, making fun of inconsistencies and of conspiracy beliefs and logical breakdown, are equally effective at reducing belief in a Jewish super conspiracy. I love that. Okay, cool. Yeah, like fucking 9/11. Oh God. Because when I was young, like the big conspiracy theory I'd always have to try and push back at my friends for was fucking 9/11 shit. And it was always like, we could go into the stats, you know, we could talk about free fall or whatever the fuck. But sometimes, you know, it was just like, mate, you're not an engineer. Why are you pretending to know what a building is supposed to do when it's been hit by a plane? Why? Why do you think you know that? Like, ooh, I don't know. That really doesn't gel with my understanding of a 100-story building getting smacked by a 707 airliner. Yeah, no, it doesn't really look like what I'd expect to happen when a 100-story building gets hit by a plane. Fuck you. Like,
bare minimum can actually be pretty harmful when you're dealing with someone like Sneako, an Andrew Tate clone, a guy who just very obviously detests women and wants everyone else to do the same. A guy who can hear this story of blatant sexism that mirrors his own online rhetoric almost perfectly and say, well, you know, boys will be boys. Or I guess more specifically, wow, that is epic and based, dude.
I don't know, that kid seems pretty base to me.
So for me, one of the funniest moments in this response is when Sneako and Destiny both
thing is, like, on their own terms, I think this is the problem, is like Noah's not, like, I don't think Noah would want to argue with these guys on their own terms. The pushback you could give here to those kids is those kids are going to really struggle with women. Like, those kids are not going to find love. They're going to have a hard time getting fucking partners and shit. Like, if they're going out, like, at 11 years old talking about how they're the breadwinners and shit. I don't know. That's like you're just setting your boys up for failure. It's okay for you to talk like that, Sneako, you know, good looking, wealthy guy and shit. But when you're telling some fucking schmuck, some little dribbling, bedwetting piss baby that, like, they can get away with talking to girls like that and shit. Oh, God.
Discover what the gender breakdown of my audience demographics looks like. This is my audience demographic breakdown by gender.
Yeah, it's very predictable. If you have a breakdown of this.
Holy shit!
If you have
Sneako is good. I think Sneako is good looking. You can probably say that. That's probably fine. Yeah. Piss bag. Yeah, true.
Real?
All the
if you're more
insults.
female than men watching you, that says a lot. Like, you could figure just by looking at your audience demographic, you can figure out what you think.
They both reveal that they have nearly identical audience demographics at around 94% male and 5% female viewership.
Destiny, what's your split? Is it like 60%?
It's probably
men?
like my
40% female, 30?
No
30?
shot, dude. It's gonna be like 95.5. This is my fucking channel, dude. I was saying
95.5. Holy shit. I don't know. I'm sitting on an even 80-20. I think that's fine. I'm good with that. 95.5. Oh, God. Why is that? I mean, I know why. But it's still... Oh, God. Well, the funny thing is now, though, like, because every video, the percentages change a lot. I wonder if it's like a... Hang on. Got some old tabs there. What was I going to say? What's your ratio? Like, it was 80-20. Now I think it's like 17-83. Yeah, I can't remember. You can pull this chat if you want. Mooncat says she has 95.5 in her Manosphere video. What, 95 women? But I wonder, what I find interesting is that Destiny and Noah are doing the same content now. They're doing Manosphere pushback videos. Mooncat had 95 men. Mooncat is being watched by 95% men. What? Why? What the fuck? Weird. Listen, if ever there was a time to ask, what do women want, right? Brittany, Simon, Anna, NSV, Melina, and Lauren Southern. That's your 5 women watching Destiny. True. Oh, well.
on Discord.
Oh, wow. Yeah, we got the same split. Holy shit.
This dude's wild. 93.3% male, 5.4% female. That's higher than I thought for women. Nice job. Good job, ladies.
And this is mostly funny to me
But
because
this is weird because, like, Destiny, are Destiny and Noah not kind of doing the same arguments and the same content right now, apart from that Noah's doing it as a video essay and Destiny's doing it as debate. And I think the way that gender roles are these days, I feel like men are just always going to prefer, like, debate, like combative politics and aggression and shit. Yeah, that makes sense.
because of the different ways that these guys interpret these statistics. Destiny takes the more business-savvy approach, expressing interest in potentially wanting to grow his following by changing his content to unlock this new untapped reservoir of never-before-seen individuals.
I'm about to do his content, man. I'm about to make hate videos on you. 1 second.
Go ahead, man.
50% women. That's wild.
Yeah.
Sneako, on the other hand, takes the old-timey misogyny approach by saying that having this audience breakdown means that I must not be funny because it means that women watch me and women aren't funny, you know.
That shouldn't happen for a man. But this is what I'm saying, just like pandering to women. This is humor. This is why you have a 50% female audience, because women, like, your humor is just... This is humor. This is why you have a 50% female audience, because women, like, your humor is just...
Yeah, but Sneako, you're pandering to men. Like, how is what you're doing not pandering? It's that whole, like, illusion of, like, yeah, what? Oh, wow, I'm going to be the first guy to come in and say we're in the Matrix. I'm going to give you the red pill. And everyone else is a bot, and all the conspiracy theories are based, and the establishment's bad, and everything that's anti-establishment is cool. Yeah, like, you might think it's, like, Sneako might think that's, I don't know. Sneako might think that he's, like, the first guy on Earth who's ever come up with those fucking points, but, like, nah, it's like, the outcome is that you're pandering, yeah. Wait, Lamson has 50. Lamson. 50% women audience, and he plugs men's shaving products. Oh. Oh no. Oh no. Noah. Called out.
And that having a more balanced audience is the problem with YouTube today, unlike the good old days.
Every video is going to be about this, like... misogynist, straight men, a safe space, petting my cat. You're very predictable. There's so many channels like this. This is what YouTube has become. People are tired of this fucking shit. That's why everyone was saying that they liked the panel from yesterday. It felt like pre-2016 YouTube. It felt like OG YouTube where people didn't give a fuck. People are tired of this shit.
People are tired of this shit, he says, while circling his mouse cursor around a demographic.
Yeah, again, like, points like this, it's like, it's fine, you know, if you want to, like, tell your audience what they already know, but yeah, okay.
People are tired of this shit, he says, while circling his mouse cursor around a demographically equal YouTube audience. You're saying the quiet part out loud there, man. Women be shopping and
I did think if I ever wanted to argue with Sneako and bring up, like why are you to put it one of the pitfalls of anti-establishment stuff is that, like, of being dogmatically anti-establishment is that what's the anti-establishment position on race? Well, the anti-establishment position on race is actually you'll get it from this fucking you'll get it from this fucking guy. Wait, where is it?
Felt like OG YouTube where people didn't give a fuck.
Here, the anti-establishment perspective on race is that black people are genetically less intelligent than white people. And what is like? Like, would Sneako side with the establishment or the anti-establishment on that? But then the problem is, if I ask that question, that's kind of like white savior complex a little bit.
People are tired of this shit.
People are tired of this shit, he says, while circling his mouse cursor around a demographically equal YouTube audience. You're saying the quiet part out loud there, man. Women be shopping and not on my website, dudetube.com. I do want to ask though, like, if having a 50-50 audience split means that I'm pandering to women, what is a 95% male audience exactly? That's not pandering to the boys? I think one possible explanation for these statistical differences, besides the pandering one, is that only one of us tends to use language and rhetoric that might be a little more off-putting to a lot of folks. You know, like why 2s think they're 10s, and these girls live in absolute delusion, and why Ben Shapiro should run for president, and why there's only 2 genders, and why LGBTQ is hypocritical and kind of gross. What is all of that if not pandering to a male right-wing audience? Dunking on safe spaces is all fun and games until you accidentally build your entire identity around being unsafe. There are a number of times in this reaction where Sneako seems to suggest that he believes I've made my video response to him for clout, and that I'm attempting to capitalize on his rapidly growing channel to build my own audience.
At this point, you're gonna have haters that are like trying to build careers off of you.
Yeah.
Do you ever think about like responding to certain videos or talking to certain people, and that people might try to like just bait reactions out of you for popularity?
Yeah. So after a certain point, it's not even worth. Like I've seen many channels. There's a couple of them that like Papa John's and this other kid. I could look through their most popular videos, and it's always Sneako's insane, Sneako's stupid, Sneako's losing this, and then they post their own reaction videos, their own personality, nothing. So I know how tight it's making them that I could just ignore them, and they try their own shit, and nobody gives a fuck. So it's better to just not respond. This guy, it's like after this video, and if like right now he's ducking like even getting in a call, I'm never gonna speak about him again. I'm gonna try to see if he makes his own good content, but we already know low IQ, slow, boring. No one gives a fuck. So this is a minor amount of clout, and nobody who's here in the stream is really gonna go watch his videos. They already know his opinion.
He's doing the Hassan defense. If you want to engage with me, you're a clout chaser. This is what Hassan does. Like, yeah, fuck. I'm not gonna like if smaller channel criticizes you. Nah, fuck off. Get out. I'm not even reacting to your video. I'm not doing shit. Like you're clout chaser. It must be you only did this because you want clout. Oh, Andrew Tate's making the rounds. Get me in the fucking stream. I'll talk to him. I'll talk to Andrew Tate. Give me the Andrew Tate. Give me Andrew Tate right now. Give me a big audience. Yeah, this is the Hassan defense. Yeah, okay. I would really like to know what Destiny's end goal is with this guy, because to me, he's not that interesting. Like, apart from that, he's like, I don't know. It's like it's like having an annoying little brother. Like, I guess that could be a thing, but I don't know.
He's not going to say anything like unpredictable. It's stupid.
I saw this sentiment parroted in my comment sections as well. Cloud Shark, Drama Farmer, and so on. And this is funny because, well, if I'm remembering correctly, Sneako is the one who made a video about me first, right? He put out that hour-long live stream and subsequent YouTube upload reacting to my content. All because I played 30 seconds of video footage of him without even providing any commentary. In a video that wasn't
Wait, is that how it started? Oh, God.
Even about him. So I'm really confused by this. Like, Sneako, if you don't want to have to respond to my videos, then stop making videos where you watch my content. It's really easy to do. And if you're unwilling to do that, then stop complaining that I'm responding to the things that you are saying about me, especially when those things are sort of just silly and crazy and easy to make fun of. I think probably my favorite point in this response video is this moment where Sneako responds to a compliment that I gave him, while setting up a point about how his content has changed for the worse and how I'm not the only one to have noticed this. I acknowledged that some of his older videos that I'd watched when learning who he was were actually pretty entertaining, but he didn't seem to take this compliment well.
I've never heard detailed, really good questions like it's complicated. He asks the best street interview questions I have ever seen, and I do this shit. I do this shit professionally.
I know you do, Sneako. I've seen your content. I actually quite like some of the street interviews that you've done. I think there are times
I have never heard of your content before this fucking video.
when you've been able to
He's
humanize
giving you a compliment.
I don't give a fuck. Yeah, keep following me. My videos are better than yours.
people you come across. So yeah,
He's like, he's just a fucking toddler, isn't he? Yeah.
just incredible stuff. He clearly needs to prove something to everyone that he's better than me, I suppose. And the best way to do that, as we all know, is by saying it out loud.
Yeah.
Sneako's ego is so starved for validation that he's incapable of allowing me to make a single concession without immediately pouncing on it as proof of his superiority. But apart from it being kind of funny and fun to watch, I do find it a bit sad, if I'm honest. He's been YouTube famous for the better part of a decade. I don't know why stuff like this still affects him in such obvious ways. Why he can't just allow someone else to give him props for his art, because he feels like doing so means that he's showing some kind of weakness. I don't know, but it is odd, and I hope he can figure it out. Anyways, the last point I want to bring up is a response to a comment that Sneako makes towards the end of his video. I am again talking about how his audience's perceptions have changed over time. And I think for a lot of your fans of your older content which seem to mostly avoid this sort of thing, seeing you fall for the bait is a sad thing to watch. When they tell you that you fell off, they're not talking about your subscriber counts or your TikTok views or anything like that. No, you're doing just fine on that front. They're talking about the quality of your work. They're telling you that your content no longer moves them in a way that it once did. At least that's what it seems like.
Yeah, to Soy Boys. So I'll just leave you in the past. Fuck it. I don't give a fuck. I'm gonna keep doing this shit, and your dumbass is gonna keep watching it and psychoanalyzing it because you love it. It's entertainment. Keep watching. Put the Joker thing. You need a villain. You need somebody to hate. You
need people like me. You need people like me so you can point your fucking fingers and say, that's the bad guy. Okay, Sneako. Sneako is soying out right now. Oh no. He's sneaking out. is content, baby. You need people like me. You need a fucking bad guy. Okay.
Tuning in while I keep turning up, pussy.
So, what do we make of this response here? Well, first I want to acknowledge the truth in that statement, which is that yes, as we grow and change as creators and cover different things over time, we're going to lose different parts of our audiences. That's always been how things go. It's part of being a content creator and building and sustaining an audience, and that's fine. But Sneako isn't just saying that here. No, he's saying that the people that don't like the direction he's taken are all soy boys. He is ascribing a label to them, an ideology, in order to dismiss the fact that they may very well just be genuinely repulsed by the things that he's saying, by the red pill rhetoric he is constantly espousing on his channel. And that's a bit patronizing, right? To dismiss every person that doesn't love this misogynistic wailing video after video by grouping them together with some negative identity, with some declaration that they're bots, they're programmed and unable to think for themselves, unable to tell when someone is just being a little bit of a goblin. That short clip to me says more than anything else that we've looked at in today's video. It's why I even decided to make a response, because it is just haunting. His total inability to self-reflect, to look at things from a wider lens and listen to the people that feel alienated by the things that he is saying. Yes, Sneako, you will keep making money and growing your channel. There's no doubt about that. You will be a millionaire in the next year.
Whoa.
Congratulations on that. But once you stop responding to me and reacting to my videos in your content, no, I will not be watching, because I, like many of those people that used to watch you, I really don't think you're saying anything new. When you're constantly going out of your way to shame people for getting vaccinated, or demean and belittle women for existing, or telling trans people that they aren't real, you're not saying anything new. When you bring a neo-Nazi onto your stream on multiple occasions and do little other than agree with him and placate his neo-Nazi rhetoric, well, you're not saying anything new. And some people will want to watch that, of course, but I am not one of those people. And I don't think it's just because I'm a soy boy, but
I mean, to be fair, like, it's harder for me to make this argument to Noah because I agree with him, but when you talk to like a manosphere person and you bring out the fucking like the flashcards, like misogynistic, problematic, patriarchal, like incel rhetoric, neo-Nazi, like you're kind of like shut, like you're kind of just like, that's like a heuristic that you're like, that's fine if you want to convince your audience because we all have a shared understanding of what those words mean. But yeah, it's kind of also showing like a lack of interest in his audience or like in any kind of like persuasion, because and the problem is like it's not really Noah's fault that's the case, right? That's the fault of red pillars, because they are the most sensitive, like piss baby motherfuckers that as soon as they hear one or two or three or four of these words, they'll just their brains will switch off. That's it. That's just their fucking fight or flight kicks in, and they like projectile fucking dribble whirlwind for like 8 minutes and then like die. I don't know. Like that's you can't engage with them like that at that point. But when you get into that position, though, it makes me wonder, like, if Sneako's not saying anything new, like, is Noah saying something new? Like, was there anything in this video that was something new, or is he just kind of being like, I don't know. Maybe maybe I'm thinking too hard about this, because I feel like I want to engage with like manosphere stuff. I want to say something that isn't just like the same shit, but I don't really know what that would be. I don't know what you can say that's new to these people that would be like that would have any value. Because they're not like complicated people. They're sensitive. Yeah, they're sensitive, highly aggressive, alienated men. Like that's, yeah. Have you seen FD Signifier's long video yet? I mean, I started watching it, and like the first 10 minutes is like him filming himself setting up his set before he talks, and then talking about why he was thinking about making this video. I'm like, fuck me. I'm just not, I can't do it. It's not a slight on, I mean, diversity of content. Like, it's not for me. I can't do it. I feel like every time I watch an FD Signifier video, he just like, it's like 20 minutes and we've maybe got like 1 point. And because he's from the same discipline as me, isn't he a sociologist? It's just like it's nothing new to me that I've heard so far. Or it's like, yeah, I don't know. But I mean, I've heard good things about it, so just not for me.
Who knows? All right, so that's.
I also, speaking about FD Signifier, I can't get it out of my head when we watched that video of his. I need to stop doing this because I'm just essentializing. I'm essentializing really hard, but I can't stop thinking about that fucking debate bro video he did. Where he made this point. Maybe since this is going to be a VOD, I want to put it in here. Like, what was it? Where was it? The one where he's talking about. Fuck, what was it? This. Where was it?
Racist. Eduardo Bonilla Silva describes white habitus as essentially the habitat from which whiteness is understood, created, and reinforced. It's the social, economic, and ideological living conditions of white people, often greatly segregated along racial lines. And that's.
So I think he's talking here about debate bros and how they're an example of white habitus. And I think this is the bit where he gives the theory and he's about to give an example. And I just find it so weird. Like,
such, there is the development of cultural and moral norms centered around whiteness and apart from people of color who are often, as a byproduct of this centering of whiteness, relegated to a lower status and othered. So even with the best intentions, the behavior and viewpoints born out of this space is still going to be rooted in racist frameworks unless the concept of whiteness is addressed. Essentially, if you read Marx and Trotsky and Gramsci and What You Want to Do Ski and whomever else, but not Du Bois, Fanon, Hooks, Crenshaw, etc., you might be a leftist white supremacist. And
you see how the first half of that sounded really like wordy and theory and like white habitus and addressing the underlying white supremacy of the space and all that. And that example is just like, what the fuck? Because this is the debate bro section, isn't it? Problems in the community. Like, who is reading like Gramsci in the left-wing YouTube space? Or even Marx or fucking Trotsky? Who is doing that? No one's reading fucking... the only one person of these people he lists, what was it?
Is addressed. Essentially, if you read Marx and Trotsky and Gramsci and What You Want to Do Ski and whomever else, but not Du Bois, Fanon, Hooks, Crenshaw, etc.
Like, so I read Marx like maybe 10 years ago to like that was the only time I read like a lot of Marx. But then I haven't really revisited them to any great degree since. The only one of these theorists I've read in the last 5, 6, 7 years is Crenshaw. Because I did a video on intersectionality. I read her 2 essays on intersectionality. The first 2. I don't know if there are more. What did that make me? You know what that makes me, right? According to this proposition, you know what I am? I'm a fucking black supremacist. I'm a left-wing black supremacist. That's me. I need to get more white theory in to level the fucking scale right here. But yeah, I fuck. I'll try watching FD Signifier again at some point. But this take right here, just like it just blew my brain into like 7 billion pieces. I don't understand it. All right, okay. It just felt like one of those things where it happened in uni actually. When you had like a lecturer who would like be able to give you like this really smart sounding theory, and it was really it was like really wordy and really like kind of like glittering and all that. But then if they ever tried to give an example of what they were talking about in the real world, it just felt like a sack of potatoes. That's what I never understood, but that's what this made me think about. But I mean, the one we watched about the Manosphere was good. The one about Batman and villains and shit. Okay, I'm getting sidetracked again. Noah.
Really all I wanted to say today. I recognize that by re-engaging here, I'm totally just playing into this whole WWE online theatrical dudes yelling at other dudes.
What the fuck is this picture? By the way, to talk about debate bros being like a white supremacist space on the left and all that, there are lots and lots of black debate bros. You know where they are? They're all on the fucking right. Like, or at least the center. That's That's what we need to fucking fix up here, you know? But,
thing. And it is ultimately pretty fucking lame. I have less than zero interest in becoming a recurring character in the canon. But I'll be honest, I definitely was looking forward to making this video because I've been having fun using these to get more practiced at my writing. It's always been an insecurity of mine, my ability to articulate myself and be convincing. And I feel like this is a good exercise in trying to improve those things. Also, I do think that these topics.
Yeah, the arguments in here were better than the last video, I thought. Like, a lot of them were still doing the same thing of like preaching to the choir, but near the end where he was talking about like how Sneako himself is pandering, like obviously, and how he is himself a massive fucking NPC. He's not saying anything new. Those were all good points. And also the fact that he doesn't engage with any arguments, like, and displaying that. Like, I don't think those clips were inaccurate. The dunk on Destiny was kind of dumb. The slippery slope fallacy didn't make any sense at all. And we've illustrated that via a diagram. We have the proof. All right. Yeah, no. I think the fact that Noah said that as well, that he's like insecure about whether or not he's making good, like communicating his arguments well, is yeah, I think. Because I feel like that's kind of like his weakness. He doesn't exactly lack the work ethic. He churns. His humor definitely, it doesn't work for me, but it works for a lot of people, clearly. Yeah. It's difficult though, because like, I think the way I got good at argumentation was through like I did it from arguing with other people, because I can write down like arguments and counter arguments to myself, but I sometimes I can't come up with everything that someone else is going to say, you know. And some people can hit you with some really weird curveballs. You know, give them a crash course on argue. I don't know. I mean, I'm only like, that's the only thing is that like the one thing that Noah's got an insecurity about is like the only thing I don't have an insecurity about. I think I'm good at making arguments and preparing for counter arguments and going like down a chain. Like, I think I'm good at that, but everything else I think I need to work on a lot. But fuck, yeah. Where was I going with that? Okay.
Are interesting. And given the state of the internet right now, I feel like there's little harm in engaging with them in the way that I have been. But yeah, anyways, thanks again to Harry's for sponsoring today.
Okay, thanks, Noah. Good job. I think that was some good bullying. Good, productive, progressive bullying of a very unhinged man baby.